Hey guys, it's Ben, and today I'm going to be walking through the HackPark Try Hack Me challenge. So I've got the box up and running, I'm connected to the VM, so let's go on with it. So the first flag, this is sort of a walkthrough one, it gives you some hints as you go along. I'm not going to be going through the walkthrough, I'm just going to be just solving it live basically, and then we'll go back to the flag board to show what we've got so far. So anyway, the first one, it's asking you what is the name of the clown displayed on the home page. So let's quickly don't know why that's doing that. Oh, there we go. Let's make recon exploits in nmap directory. Let's do a basic nmap scan of all the ports on this box, and we'll output this to mmap initial.txt, and we'll see what that returns. So it does say what's the name of the clown displayed on the home page. The home page sort of indicating that this may be some sort of web server, some website we can connect to. Maybe there's port 80 for HTTP or HTTPS open. Until we do this mmap scan, we don't know for sure, but it's something to look at. So let's just have a look at this. So like we know there could be a web server or website. See mmap scan returned. No, it hasn't. It's loading quite slow, so maybe it's not HTTP. We could try HTTPS, see what this does. And look, it does eventually resolve on HTTP, and we've got this this image of a clown, right? I wasn't too sure what this clown was. I didn't recognize it. To me, it just looks like a clown. So what I did is I just let's just cd into recon, and let's just download this file, and then we can. I'm just going to rename this to clown.jpg, just so it's a bit cleaner, and then we can sort of do a reverse image search to see if we can find any information about it online, because maybe it stands out as like a clown, or from a movie or something. I wasn't familiar, so that's not the one I want to do. HackPark walkthrough, recon clown. So we can do this, and we can basically do an image search. There's this article here I looked at, and you can see Tim Curry's Pennywise. So if you go back to the Try Hack Me website, you can see the name of the clown is Pennywise. So that's the first flag I've got. If you go back to the mmap scan, we can now see there's only two ports, right? There's port HTTP, and then there's an RDP port. So what we can do is we can do a bit more of a thorough mmap scan just to see what we can find. So I'm going to do TAC SV, TAC SC, TAC O for operating system. So yeah, we want to have a look at the service and the version of the service. We're going to do the default scripts, and we're going to hopefully find some operating system information. I'll probably need to be sudo to run this. So I'm running that. Let's go back to this website. We've got an endpoint we can investigate. So at first, well, we can look at the web technologies. We can see, look, this is running an iOS web server. It's using Bootstrap, and we've got this blogengine.net. So we could definitely investigate this. We could sort of go blogengine.net, and we'll find that this is some sort of platform for creating blogs, right? This is like a CDN. Is that what they call it? CDN? No. I can't remember the word. Anyway, so I'll have to tac pn to get don't send any pings. So yeah, we've got this endpoint. What can we do at this point? We can see if there's any directories which are interesting. So I'm just going to do that now. user share word lists, sec lists, discovery, web content directory list. I'm just going to do the 1.0, and the website's here. That is not what I want to do, but that's fine. There we go. And we'll fuzz the first directory. We can just double check if we go back to the website. If we go to a non-existent directory, we should get a 404 error. This is an IIS server, so some web servers, I think maybe Python and Flask, they can be configured to not actually return a 404, but this does return a 404. So we can filter by code. So filter by HTTP response code 404. I'm just going to tee this into fuff initial.log. So I'll let that do its thing. We found quite a few results so far. We're also going to do what web on this website. This just shows us some of the web technologies, sort of the stuff. That's not what I want to do again. There we go. Let's get that there, and we'll tee this into what web. So this, yeah, like I said, it shows us a lot of the stuff what Wappalizer would show us, but we've actually got it in writing here, so we can once again see, look, this is an IIS server, and it sort of gives us some more information. So we could, the next thing I would typically do is look at the robots.txt. This is the files on the web server that they don't want to be showed by when you Google it. They don't want to show these files. This disallow basically stops these endpoints being shown in a web query, in a web search. So we see some down here. So there's obviously this search one, so we can have a look. Search, right, and there's this account, and then we get an access denied. A logical thing to do is just to have a look if there's an admin page or an admin.asp page, and we can see it is loading for a while, so maybe there is an admin page. We'll see what this returns. We can go back to our directory fuzzing here, and we can see it's finding a lot of stuff here. So they all have different sizes, but they are giving a 200 status code, which is a bit annoying because it doesn't really, we can't filter it down that well. But it's fine. We found a possible somewhere we can attack now. We've got this login form, right? And it's using this blogengine.net, what we found earlier. So we sort of want to, if you go back to our nmap scan, look, we found, yeah, it's got RDP. It doesn't really, there's no other initial attack vectors. At first, I was like, yeah, this is something we could possibly exploit. We could perhaps brute force this login page using Hydra, and that is what you're meant to do. So we don't know what the username or password is, so we can take a guess. Look, there's probably an admin user. Maybe they've got a username of admin or administrator. Before we get onto the actual brute forcing, let's just have a look how this does it. So when we do test, right, and we send this request, we can see a post request is sent, and it's got this get parameter return URL. If we just get rid of this first of all, let's just do that. Wait till this loads. It is quite slow on some of the endpoints, so yeah. When we went to admin, right, this just redirected us to this account.login with the get parameter return URL admin. So perhaps once we authenticate, there will be a /admin page. We don't really need this at the moment, so we can just log in with this. And like I said, if we try to authenticate with test here, we get a login failed. It does show, I'm not sure if let me just try this again. So yeah, we send a post request when we're submitting our credentials to this account /login.spx page, and here's the parameters in our post. So we could perhaps brute force this username and password parameter using Hydra. But at first I sort of want to get this because I'm not sure if I'm assuming we need this view state and event validation post parameters in our Hydra request. I want to get them in one big statement. So what I did was I used Burp Suite to sort of capture all of this at once. So Burp Suite. I'll turn on proxy. I'll just get Burp Suite open. So yeah, interceptor's on. I'm going to go back to the web page. I'm going to do another test, and now we've captured it, right? So we've got this view state and this event validation parameter. We've got the login username, and at this point here, I'm going to say I want to try brute force passwords for the username admin. In Hydra, when you're brute forcing from a word list with HTTP post form, you specify the pass with these two, I don't know what the symbol is called, these two symbols, and then do the pass in here. If you were also brute forcing usernames, right, you would do user like so, and then it would go for a word list and replace user with the username in the word list. To start, we're just going to guess the usernames admin and then brute force passwords. And we also need to tell Hydra how do we know when we've got this correct, right? We're doing all these requests. When we do an incorrect request, we see we get this login failed. So we basically want to filter out all requests which don't return in this login failed, and you can do this through Hydra. When you do the HTTP like post form, the syntax is you do another colon here, and then you just include the text. In this case, it is login failed, right? That is what it is. Yeah, login failed. And this is half of our sort of payload we're going to use. So that's some of the parameters. We're going to go back into our terminator terminal, and I'm going to use Hydra. I'm just going to zoom in a bit in case you can't see, and then I'm going to do tac. If you want to do tac capital L, that's for a word list. I'm not using a word list for the username. I'm just using the username admin. I am going to use a word list for the password, so user share word lists, and then I'm going to use the RockU word list. The IP is going to be 10.10.69.233. The sort of protocol, the thing I'm attacking is going to be HTTP post form, and then we do need to supply some more details. We need to supply information on the endpoint we're going to be attacking, and if you go back to this page here, it's that /account account login.aspx, right? Is that correct? Yes. And then we can use another colon, and then we're going to specify the parameters we're going to supply, the data parameter we're going to supply in post, so we'll paste that. And I think that's all I need. So I'm going to do attack V to show all these attempts. I'm going to move that across like so, and I'm going to run this, and we'll see. So it starts trying all these different credentials. I'm running it in verbose mode with the attack V. It will show us it's going through this list, and it's trying admin with each of the passwords in the word list. It will carry on going as long as the response contains this login failed. Once we get a post request which response does not contain that login failed string, it will stop and it will give us that username and password credentials. Those should be the credentials which will work. And look, we found some credentials. We found this password 1QAZ2WSX. So this looks fairly secure. I wouldn't have ever used this password or known why somebody used this password, but we've got some credentials now. I'm going to turn off my intercept and my proxy, and I'm going to paste in the credential there, and we can see we didn't get login failed. We actually we went to this like just this directory. So if you look in the tab, we've now got this admin feature, and we're in this admin dashboard of this blog engine, right? So we can have a look around here. There's and we can sort of do some more basic enumeration. We can see, look, there's this version 3.3.6.0 of blog engine. So you can investigate this. So you can say blog engine, and then search up this. Search up this version, and we can see, look, on the top result, there's this RCE. There's this directory traversal / RCE, and it gives a brief description of how this works. So there's a path traversal vulnerability leading to RCE. It affects version 3.3.6 and below, so that's the version we're using, 3.3.6.0. And it tells us how we're going to go about doing this, right? We've got this exploit code here, which is in C#. We have to change a few things, like we can change our IP, and then we upload this through like a file manager feature, and then we'll exploit the directory traversal vulnerability to actually open our C# code and execute it. So at a basic level, what we're doing is we're creating a reverse shell, we're uploading it, and then we're exploiting an LFI vulnerability to load that reverse shell. So instead of talking, let's actually get on with this, right? So we've got these credentials. I'm just going to cd into my exploits directory, cd into exploits, there we go. And just to clear it all up, I've downloaded this, I'm going to download it like so. If you go back to the description, it says we need to save this as this postview.ascx file. So let's just copy that, and we'll rename our file this, and then we'll make the changes we need to do. So let's move 4.6, I think it's saved as, to this, and then we've got this post view file, and then we can edit it so it works for my box basically. So let's go down. I'm going to insert at this point, and we'll find what we need to change down here, and we need to change this IP to my IP, the callback IP, and then we'll get a listener on this, 98.238, and the port I'm going to be listening on is going to be 31337. So we've got this file here. If you read the POC, it basically says we need to go to I'm trying to find it. Yeah, so we need to go to the file manager, which is where? Is there a file path to it? Oh, it's here. So we need to go to this endpoint on the website, which allows you to upload files, and then we exploit it with the LFI on the theme get parameter. So let's go back to the website. Let's go to this page here, and then it says, look, there's this file manager file. We can go in here, and then we can upload in HackPark walkthrough exploits. We can upload this file here, and it's uploaded. Before I actually execute it, let's get a listener open. So nvlp 31337. Got a listener going, and then if you go back to the POC, it says we can use this theme parameter and do directory traversal to go in the app data file, appdata/files, and that should execute our code. So we'll use this get parameter theme equals ... go back to directories, go to app data files like so, and it hangs, and while that's hanging we can go back here and we can see we've got a shell. It's a bit of an awkward shell, so you can say who am I? I'm running as this IIS app pool / blog. It's not nice, it's not a pretty shell. You can go and do some basic enumeration. You can see the folder you're in, right? but it's not perfect. I would like a interpreter shell. It's got a lot more things you can use in a interpreter shell. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start off by generating a Windows interpreter reverse TCP shell. This will be an executable which I'll download onto the box. I'll set my L host to be my listening host, 98.238, and we'll set the L port to be, let's do 1337 this time. The file is going to be exe. I'm going to output this as hacked.exe. I could, I think that would be alright. I could have encoded it to try avoid some detection, but I'm pretty sure there's no Windows Defender and all the other stuff is going to be disabled, so I think we're alright. And I'm going to download this onto the box with PowerShell. I've got a script here before I've used. I'll just copy and paste it here to show. There we go. Control Z, Control C. Okay, so we've got the script. I'll just paste it here and explain it. So this is the DOS command we're going to be running, and I want to run a PowerShell command, right? This at the moment is just a normal cmd.exe shell. I want to run a PowerShell command, and I'm going to use the PowerShell taxi to run a command through the command.exe, and I'm going to download this file. The file is going to be hosted on a HTTP server I'm running on my box as hack.exe. I want to save as hack.exe. So that's the command I'm going to be using. Just want to check if it's in the right directory. It's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to move hacked.exe to exploits. I'm going to cd into exploits, and I'm going to get a HTTP server running on port 80. So now back on this machine here, I'm also on this one going to get MSF console running to get Metasploit open. I'm going to use the multi-handler tool, and I'm going to set the payload to be Windows interpreter and reverse TCP. I'm going to set my L host to be my ton0 IP, and I'm going to set my L port to be 1337, I think I did it on. I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to paste this PowerShell command to download it. We'll see if that works. I've noticed it may not work straight away, so let's try a few times. Let's just check we've got everything right. Oh, I think I remember why actually now. We're currently in this system32 directory. We may not have write permissions on this directory. We may get permissions denied straight away. I'm just going to cd into users public, as I'm pretty sure we'll have write permissions there. I'll paste the command again, and we'll see if that works. Okay, it didn't look like I didn't cd into users public. Now if you check where we are, we're in the right directory, right? We can try paste it again, and we've actually got a get. It's shown the HTTP request. That means it's most likely on a box. We can do dir, and we can see this hack.exe file. I'm going to hack.exe. I'm going to run this, and I forgot to start my listener. Run. It's saying that one's already in thingy. Let's just have a look. Nets.lt. It looks like we are listening on this thingy, so I'm going to have to quickly kill whatever this process is, because I've already got it on the box. I can't be asked to generate. What is the... No, that's not what I'm going to do. So try this real quick. Basically, port 1337 is already in use, which is annoying. And what I'll do is I'll grep 1337. So there's a process somewhere in the background using it, and I can't seem to find it. LSOF get listening ports IN. I want to kill this process, but I don't know what it is actually running as. Tag I tag P tag N. So I'm going to have to find port. If I grep listening, so I'm grep listen. So it's that one there. It's Ruby. It's listening on. So I'm just going to kill this PID. Right, this should work. 4484. And then if I try run this again, or let me just do this again and check if it's still listening. It's still listening on there. Maybe that's not the PID. If I tac N. Oh, it should be the second one actually. If I try again. That is a bit annoying. I'm just going to change the port. I'm going to be lazy, right? I'm going to generate another exploit, and I'm going to do it on port 999 as that's not taken. Is it because I've got one of these? No. I'll do it on port 999. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to change my... Right, I'm just going to rename hack.exe hacked.exe.back. So we've got the one which was incorrect there. I'm now going to try do this again, re-download it and change the port I'm listening on. So if I set L port 999 this time, run this, and now if I get a Python server there, paste this command here. So I've got it downloaded this time, the real hack, well not the real one, hopefully a working one this time. And I go like this. Okay, so that works. So I'm getting my terp session now. It took me a while, but I've got there eventually, right? That's all that matters. And we can sort of do some basic enumeration. So we can see we're running as this IIS app pool /blog. We can do some sysinfo to find out some more information about the box. So that it's in a work group. The computer's called, the host name's HackPark. That's the build number. If you go back to the flag, we've probably got a good amount of flags now. So yeah, it's using a post request. That's the password we got. Compromising the machine. That's the version we found after logging in with admin. This is the POC we used, and it's for CVE 2019-6714. Got that. The web server is running as we just found that part, and then we have to do the Windows privilege escalation. So it says when you originally do this challenge through the walkthrough, it says to use like a Windows exploit suggester. I tried that and I had troubles with it, so I ended up just using WinPeas. I found WinPeas a lot more reliable. One thing, which is I should have done this earlier, when I use this Terminator shell, after a certain amount of output, it gets cut out and I can only see a certain amount. If you use a normal terminal, you don't get this. So what I'm going to do is get MSF console. This is a bit late, but I should have done this earlier. And I'm just going to change to this. I'm going to get rid of this session. So I'm going to just terminate this session. And I'm going to use multi-handler set payload Windows interpreter reverse TCP, set lhost to be ton 0, set lhost to be ton 0, set lport to be 9999. I'm going to run this. Well, I need to call this again, most likely. Where is him? There we go. There we go. So we've got an interpreter session on here, right? Like I was saying, I wanted WinPs on this box, and WinPs has a long output, so I'm not going to do it on this Terminator terminal. In my useful files at center box, I've got a WinPs x86.exe file. I'm going to copy this to here. That is not what I want to do. I didn't want to change directory. I wanted to copy to here, and then we've got this one here. If I look in this one here, if I go pw, if I background out of this, go pwd, I'm not in the right directory, so I'm going to change directory into desktop, try hackme, HackPark walkthrough, exploits, and now I'm going to go back into the interpreter session so I can upload this sessions tag I1. I'm going to upload WinPs x86.exe. I'm going to go back into the shell, I'm going to dir, so we can see we've got the WinPs there. I'm now going to execute this to do some automated enumeration to find, look, is there any privilege escalation vectors. WinPs does have a lot of output, it returns a lot of information. I think a lot of it's all useful, but it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes because there's so much to look at, there's so many different possible routes to take, but it does all the automation process for you. It's very useful. So I'm interested in some services. It gave hints in the walkthrough that there's some services you can exploit. You could also use PowerUp, PowerUp. It's like the PowerView PowerShell script you can use, or you could do some manual enumeration. You could use some PowerShell commands or WMIC commands just to look at what services are running. WinPs does it quite nice, it highlights it. So I'm just going to try find the services part. Is it up here? I'll go through it slowly. Processes information, okay, maybe it's down here. When I was originally doing this, I was looking for a lot longer to find like what is actually the correct route to take. As I'm walking through it now, I know what I'm looking for, so it's obviously a bit cheaty, but I'll show you when I find it. There is a lot of output here. Okay, so we've got to the interesting services. I want to find some service which is perhaps running a system. It's running with administrator privileges, and we've got write privileges over the folder. So let's just have a look. We can go down, and stuff highlighted in red is red, or other colors indicate that, look, this is a possible privilege escalation vector. And there's this Windows scheduler service. We've got some information about the service here, and it's got file permissions, write data, create file. So we could perhaps, if this is a service which is running frequently, we could create a rogue executable which is called by the service, and then that calls back to our home box, our Kali box. So the service will be running as administrator, So when it runs our executable as administrator, we get a reverse shell. So there's this Windows scheduler. If you go back to the privileged escalation part, it gets you to do some enum, and it gets you to use this Windows exploit suggester script. I didn't do this. It eventually says, yeah, look, this is the name of the abnormal service running, Windows scheduler. So it looks as if the actual executable which is being used, is this W service executable. That's the next flag. It asks you, what is the exe file, the executable which is being ran with this service. I tried this. I also tried a few others. They didn't work, so I had to do some more investigation, right? So we've got read and write access in these two directories. If you actually cd to both of them, right, the cd to this one, cd, and we list it out. It's got this wscheduler.exe. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Okay, that's annoying. Can't clear my screen either. Yeah, it's got the wservice.exe executable. I actually had to use the hint at this point because I couldn't find anywhere information where it says what's the name of the binary you're supposed to exploit. If you go on this, it says, have you checked the logs for abnormal services? So I took that hint and I went to the events directory and I cut out this event. I wanted to see, look, what logs are included here. We can see in the logs, not type. There you go, that's the one I wanted to use, type. We can see, look, there's this message.exe service run by administrator, and that's related to this scheduler service. So my idea was to create a rogue message.exe executable, replace this old one with my rogue one, and then it would hopefully get called with permissions of administrator. So we can try that. So let's just list out the file here. We can see there's this message.exe. I'm going to rename this one. Rename message.exe to message underscore old.exe, and we can see, look, we have those permissions. We can change the service, not the service, this executable. What I now want to do is create my own rogue message.exe. So basically using the same, I'm not sure if it's saved up here. No, using the, or maybe it's in this one here. Using the same, if I can't see out of this, there we go. Using the same payload, I'm going to change the port now to 1234 because I don't think that's used. 1234, and I'm going to what I'm going to output it as is message.exe, and then we've got this message.exe, and I don't want a interpreter one. I just want a Windows reverse TCP. I think that's the correct one. Would that generate? Invalid payload. Okay. Windows. Is that? Let me just. I want to find the correct payload to use, right? Maybe I didn't use the interpreter one. I can't remember what I did use, but maybe I did use the interpreter one. Let's just try that actually. Message.exe. Hopefully that will generate, and then we'll get another interpreter listener. So that's in the exploits directory. What I'll do is go into this one. I'm going to create a new tab. I'm going to get MSF console open. While that's doing, okay, it's open. While that's doing that, I'm going to background out of this. Yes, I'm going to upload message.exe. Hopefully that will work. Yep, it's in the correct directory. I'm going to dir into this, and we can see, look, the message.exe files here. I wanted to actually get a shell. If we dir, we can see we've got this message.exe. So I want to copy this. I want to copy this message to this file location where this one here, to basically create a rogue one, and I'll do that here. While that's doing that, I'm going to use multi-handler, set lhost ton 0, set lport to be, what was it, 1234, set payload to be Windows interpreter reverse TCP. Windows, that's why payload Windows interpreter reverse TCP. There we go. I'll run this here. So that's listening on there, and just to double check, yeah, that does use port 1234. I can go, trying to find the right terminal. I'll go back to here. I'll copy this across. So now if you cd into this one, and we see we've got this message old, and we've got this new message here, which is the rogue executable. I'll go back into here and we'll see if we get a callback. I can't actually remember for sure, because I don't think I used the interpreter payload, but we'll see. It may take, yeah, so I was about to say it may take some time. We did eventually get it, so we can now pop a shell, and we can see we're in that directory. We can say, who am I? And it doesn't actually return anything. But if you go to the users before, right, if we were in this one, just to show you for completeness, if we go into here, there's this Jeff user, we can cd into Jeff, access is denied. Now if we cd into Jeff, we're in, and we can cd into desktop, and we can type out the user.txt flag, and then we can cd into users administrator, cd into desktop again, type out the root.txt flag, and we've got the root.txt flag, and we've also got the user.txt flag. We've privilege escalated to root, and basically that's all we need to do with the challenge. If you go back to the flags, yeah, it asks us for this user flag and this root flag, and then in the privilege escalation without Metasploit, it basically says instead of using this, instead of using what it tells you to do here, use WinPs, which is what I did do. I didn't use this Windows exploit suggester because I had issues with it. I basically couldn't get it to work. So I used this instead. One question is, using WinPs, what was the original install time? Once again, this is something I couldn't do with WinPs. Well, I couldn't figure out how to do. There's a lot of output, and I drowned in that output. Instead, I just did the system info command, and there is an original install date here. So I just got the final flag from system info. That is that challenge done. We've got all the flags here. It was a bit long, as I had to do some troubleshooting along the way, but I hope you've learned something from this. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.